What if I told you that deep beneath the red rocks of the Grand Canyon lies evidence of an ancient civilization, one that may have ruled long before native tribes, long before Columbus, and long before the birth of the United States itself? This isn't a myth. It's a mystery buried under the silence of the desert, a story the Smithsonian once investigated and then, suddenly, denied. Tonight, we uncover what they don't want you to remember. In the spring of 1909, the Arizona Gazette published an article that would ignite one of the most mysterious controversies in American history. The headline read, "Explorations in the Grand Canyon. Remarkable discoveries indicate ancient people migrated from the Orient." It told the story of G.E. Kincaid, an explorer who claimed to have discovered a massive underground city hidden within the walls of the Grand Canyon, a place filled with strange artifacts, hieroglyphic carvings, and a vast network of tunnels that seemed to have no end. According to the article, Kincaid had been traveling down the Colorado River in a wooden boat when he noticed a strange formation high on the canyon wall, a spot that seemed man-made. He climbed up with difficulty and entered a tunnel that led deep into the earth. Inside, what he saw would haunt him forever. He described a chamber filled with copper weapons, stone tablets covered in unknown writing, and a statue of what looked like a seated Buddha, thousands of miles away from Asia. Further inside, he found mummies, crypt-like rooms, and a grand hall large enough to hold thousands of people. The entire structure seemed ancient beyond imagination, older than any known civilization in North America. Kincaid claimed he was working under the direction of the Smithsonian Institution, specifically under Professor S.A. Jordan. The Smithsonian, he said, was preparing to excavate the entire complex. Weeks later, the Arizona Gazette published a follow-up stating that the Smithsonian team had indeed found evidence of an ancient Asiatic civilization that once inhabited the region, possibly connected to ancient Egypt or India. But then, everything vanished. The Smithsonian denied that any such expedition ever took place. No records of G.E. Kincaid or Professor Jordan could be found. No artifacts were cataloged, no photographs, no notes, no official reports. The story simply disappeared. Or was it erased? Decades later, researchers began finding small traces that something strange really did happen. 1. Old river logs from 1909 mentioned a government excavation near Marble Canyon, the same area Kincaid described. 2. Local native tribes, including the Hopi and Navajo, told ancient legends of a people who came from the stars and built homes beneath the earth. 3. Restricted zones still exist within the Grand Canyon today, including one labeled Area 51 South by explorers, off-limits to the public and heavily guarded. Coincidence? Maybe. But every attempt to access those sealed-off regions has been denied by the U.S. government, citing safety reasons and environmental protection. Yet insiders whisper that something far older and far more powerful lies hidden there. Long before Europeans arrived, the Hopi told stories of a previous world destroyed by fire. Only a few chosen ones survived, those who fled into the underground Sipapuni, the entrance to the inner world. They were guided by ant people, beings from the stars who helped them rebuild humanity. The Grand Canyon, they said, was one of the gateways to that underworld. To the Hopi, the canyon was sacred, a bridge between Earth and the ancient past. The same region Kincaid described was believed to hold the House of the Serpent, where the first people emerged into sunlight after the world was cleansed. So, what if the underground city wasn't an accident? What if it was the last remnant of a civilization that predated all known history? According to the Gazette article, the chambers were carved with precision that seemed beyond primitive tools. Walls were smooth, geometric, and aligned perfectly with the cardinal directions. Massive stone doors sealed passageways. There were ventilation shafts, advanced lighting techniques, and even what appeared to be a central power room. Kincaid mentioned metallic objects that resembled electrical conductors, though he had no idea how they worked. Modern geologists have pointed out that carving such tunnels in the dense rock of the Grand Canyon would have required industrial-level technology, or something else entirely. Could an ancient civilization thousands of years ago have mastered techniques we've only rediscovered in the modern age? In the decades following 1909, multiple historians tried to locate Kincaid's cave. Each time, the Smithsonian denied all involvement. Requests under the Freedom of Information Act yielded nothing. But strange patterns emerged. Several early 20th century maps of the Grand Canyon show Egyptian names: Isis Temple, Tower of Ra, Horus Temple, Osiris Pyramid. Why would a region in Arizona be filled with Egyptian references? Local rumors claimed that the government had sealed off certain caves permanently. One explorer in the 1950s reported being chased away by armed rangers when he came near a supposed entrance. The Smithsonian, to this day, insists it never happened. But why would a national institution deny an expedition that could rewrite world history?
In 2012, a team of independent researchers known as the Ancient Explorers Society attempted to retrace Kincaid's journey. Using drones, climbing gear, and satellite data, they identified several unnatural openings high along the canyon walls. They tried to obtain a permit to explore. Denied. They went anyway. 2 days later, they returned shaken. Their cameras malfunctioned inside the tunnel entrance. They described hearing low-frequency humming, feeling intense static electricity in the air, and finding strange carvings identical to those described in 1909. The footage? Confiscated by park rangers before it could be released. The group was fined and banned from the Grand Canyon. But one of them, in a leaked interview, said quietly, if Kincaid's discovery was genuine, it could mean one of two things. One, that advanced civilizations existed in North America long before recorded history. Two, that human history, as we know it, is incomplete or intentionally rewritten. If artifacts showed a link between ancient Asia, Egypt, and pre-Columbian America, it would destroy conventional archaeology. It would mean that ancient peoples were traveling the oceans thousands of years earlier than textbooks admit. It would also prove one uncomfortable truth. The Americas were not discovered, they were remembered. The Smithsonian, whose reputation rests on the official narrative of American prehistory, would have every reason to suppress such findings. In 2020, a retired park worker leaked a photograph allegedly taken inside a forbidden cave. It showed wall carvings resembling both Egyptian hieroglyphs and Hopi petroglyphs intertwined in one design, something never seen before. Experts who analyzed the image noted symbols that appeared to depict a solar system, flying discs, and figures wearing helmets. Skeptics call it a hoax, but the image vanished from the internet within 24 hours. Every upload deleted, every account suspended. To believers, that was the final proof that something was truly being buried. Even today, the Grand Canyon holds secrets it refuses to give up. Thousands of caves remain unexplored. Some have collapsed, some are sealed, and others are simply not on the map. Locals speak of strange lights in the canyon at night, echoing sounds that resemble machinery deep underground, and whispers carried by the wind that sound almost human. One park ranger in a 1997 anonymous letter wrote,
"Sometimes when you stand on the rim at dusk, you can feel it, a pulse under your feet. The canyon is alive, and something inside it remembers. Why do people ignore this story? Because it challenges everything we're taught about the rise of civilization. It suggests that long before the United States, before Rome, before Egypt, there was another chapter of humanity, one buried under the red dust of the West, one that may have left behind technology, memory, and even descendants. The Hopi say those who lived below will rise again when the world is ready. Maybe that's why it's still hidden. History, they say, is written by the victors. But sometimes it's erased by those who fear what we might find. Today, you can visit the Grand Canyon. You can stand where G.E. Kincaid once stood, but you will never see the caves he described. They've been sealed, censored, and forgotten. Yet every legend, every restricted map, every hushed whisper from a ranger tells us one thing. There was something down there, something that doesn't fit, something that proves America's history is far older and far stranger than anyone dares to admit. And maybe one day, when the silence finally breaks, the canyon will tell us what it's been guarding for over 10,000 years.